Hello and welcome back to the second part of our exploration into the key lessons of game design, as imparted by Mark Rosewater, the head designer for Magic: The Gathering. If you haven't yet seen the first part of this series, I encourage you to check that out before continuing here. Let's not waste any more time and dive right into the remaining lessons. Let's get started. Lesson 11. If everyone likes your game but no one loves it, it will fail. It's not enough for your game to be merely likable. It should also incite strong emotions. Players don't need to love every aspect of your game, but there should be something they adore. This aspect draws them into your game and keeps them engaged. Don't worry if players dislike certain elements. Instead, be concerned if they don't passionately love anything. Often elements that some players love might be the same elements that others dislike. The key is to focus on eliciting strong emotions, not universally positive responses. If you obsess over making every element liked, you may lose sight of the bigger picture. Creating a compelling, engaging experience. For example, take the game Dark Souls. The series is notorious for its punishing difficulty and minimal hand-holding, aspects that many players dislike. However, these very features are what other players love about the game. The challenge it presents and the sense of achievement players feel upon overcoming difficult foes or obstacles create a strong emotional bond with the game. Dark Souls didn't aim to please everyone, but instead focused on providing a uniquely challenging experience that a specific audience deeply loves. It's a testament to the power of designing a game that some players will passionately love, even if others find it frustrating or difficult. Lesson 12. Don't design to prove your abilities. Design to enhance the game. Leave your ego at the door. Your decisions should serve your game, not your personal ambitions. When making design choices, ask yourself, does this decision enhance the gaming experience for my target audience? Or, am I making this choice for personal gratification? The goal isn't to prove what you're capable of, but to create the best possible experience for the player. Consider the classic game Tetris as an example. Its design is simple and straightforward, with no need for fancy graphics or complex mechanics. The designer, Alexei Pajitnov, could have added extra features or complicated systems to show off his coding skills or to make the game visually impressive. Instead, he chose to keep the game simple, focusing on an addictive and enjoyable gameplay loop. This decision wasn't about showcasing his abilities, but about creating an engaging, accessible experience for players. The result? Tetris has become one of the most enduring and universally loved video games in history. Its success underlines the importance of making design decisions that serve the game and its audience rather than the designer's ego. Lesson 13. Ensure that the fun aspect is also the winning strategy. As a game designer, it's not the player's job to find the fun. It's your responsibility to make the fun impossible to miss. When players engage with a game, there's an implicit promise. If you do what the game guides you to do, you'll have an enjoyable experience. Players will do whatever they need to achieve the set goal, typically to win the game, even if it's not enjoyable. However, if they don't find the experience fun, they'll blame the game, and rightfully so. In such a scenario, you as a designer have not fulfilled your part of the agreement. You didn't deliver an enjoyable experience despite the players doing as you directed. Therefore, it's crucial to ensure that the strategies or actions needed to succeed in the game are intrinsically enjoyable. Fun should be at the heart of your game experience, not an incidental aspect. A great example of this principle in action is the game Super Mario Bros. The core mechanic of the game is simple and enjoyable, running and jumping to navigate through levels. This fun activity is also the primary strategy for progressing and ultimately winning the game. The player's joy doesn't come from extraneous minigames or tangential activities, but directly from the core mechanics needed to succeed. This alignment of fun and progress is a big reason why Super Mario Bros. Remains a beloved classic. It ensures that players are continually having fun while naturally progressing towards their goal. Lesson 14. Don't be afraid to be blunt. Artists often lean towards subtlety, adhering to the show don't tell principle. However, this approach can occasionally fall short in game design, as players may miss crucial elements. You may introduce a game mechanic that goes unused simply because its integration was too subtle. In instances like these, it's often more effective to be explicit, placing key elements directly in the player's path. So while subtlety can be valuable, there are times when delivering your message in a more straightforward, blunt manner is necessary. The Legend of Zelda. Breath of the Wild provides an excellent example for this lesson. In this game, players can utilize a variety of abilities to interact with the world in creative ways. However, the game doesn't merely hint at these abilities, it places them front and center during the initial stages. The game introduces the key mechanics, such as magnesis, which lets you manipulate metal objects, or stasis, which can freeze objects in time, through explicit shrine tutorials. By doing so, it ensures players are fully aware of these powerful tools at their disposal, allowing them to explore the vast open world with a full understanding of their capabilities. This blunt introduction of game mechanics significantly enhances the gameplay experience, ensuring players fully engage with the game's rich interactive possibilities. Lesson 15. Design the component for the audience it's intended for. Attempting to please everyone often results in satisfying no one. It's crucial to recognize that not all players want the same experience from your game. Thus, it's essential to understand the varied desires of your player base. When designing a new component, know which portion of your audience it's meant for. If some players don't appreciate it, that's acceptable. It's not designed for them. World of Warcraft, WoW, provides a clear example of this lesson. WoW is a massive multiplayer online role-playing game, MMORPG, that caters to a variety of players with different preferences. Some players enjoy challenging player versus player, PvP combat, others prefer cooperative player versus environment, PvE content, and still others enjoy solo exploration or role-playing. The developers at Blizzard understood this and designed different components to cater to these different audiences. For example, they created structured PvP arenas for competitive players, complex raid dungeons for cooperative PvE players, and vast open-world zones filled with quests and lore for explorers and role-players. Not every player enjoys every aspect of WoW, but that's perfectly fine. Each component is designed with a specific audience in mind, contributing to WoW's broad and enduring appeal. Lesson 16. Fear boring your players more than challenging them. Players are likely to forgive ambitious attempts that fall short, recognizing and respecting the effort to create something awesome. They will often stick around to see what you'll do next. However, boring your players usually results in less forgiveness because repeating the same mistake is not the same as trying something new and failing. Therefore, it's not challenging the players that poses the greatest threat. It's the lack of risk-taking. For instance, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, demonstrates this concept perfectly. The creators, Nintendo, took a significant risk by stepping away from the linear progression and traditional norms established in previous entries of the Zelda franchise. They introduced an expansive, open world, brimming with challenges and puzzles, and gave players the freedom to forge their own paths with minimal guidance. They also incorporated a complex physics and chemistry engine, leading to endless creative problem-solving possibilities. The developers could have easily stuck with the safe, tested formula of past Zelda games. However, by embracing the risk of drastically altering the game's blueprint, they managed to not just avoid monotony for their players, but also set a new standard for what players can expect from an open-world action-adventure game. Breath of the Wild's example serves to reinforce the lesson. Fear boring your players more than challenging them. Nintendo's risk was clearly worth it, as Breath of the Wild emerged as one of the most lauded games of its generation. Lesson 17. You don't have to change much to change everything. A common misconception among game designers is the belief that adding more to a game component invariably improves it. However, this is not always the case. Excessive additions can lead to unnecessary complexity for players, obfuscate the game's core message, and expend valuable resources that could be utilized later. Instead of wondering how much more you can add, you should ask, what is the minimum I need to add? At times, tweaking one minor element can transform the entire game experience. The game Tetris is a perfect embodiment of this principle. The fundamental mechanics of the game are simple. arrange falling blocks to form complete lines, which then disappear and award points. The introduction of one small feature, the ability to rotate the blocks, dramatically amplified the strategic depth of the game. Without this feature, Tetris would be a simple game of stacking blocks as they fall. However, with the ability to rotate, the game becomes a complex puzzle of maximizing space efficiency, with countless strategies for high-score runs. Thus, a seemingly minor tweak transformed Tetris into a globally popular and infinitely replayable game. This showcases how small changes can significantly alter the overall gaming experience. Lesson 18. Restrictions breed creativity. Contrary to popular belief that unlimited options breed creativity, the reality is often the opposite. Our brains tend to rely on familiar neural pathways to solve problems based on past experiences. If you want to cultivate innovation and originality, it's best to start with a theme, an object, or a concept. This initial restriction can steer your thinking towards new ideas and fresh solutions. Rather than viewing restrictions as barriers, treat them as creative catalysts. In essence, use constraints to enhance your creativity. Lesson 19. Your audience is good at recognizing problems but bad at solving them. This is similar to a patient visiting a doctor. The patient can articulate their symptoms and discomfort, but it's the doctor who diagnoses the issue and prescribes the treatment. The same holds true in game design. Players can accurately express their feelings about a game and pinpoint problems, but they may lack the tools or perspective to devise the most effective solutions. As a designer, you should be attentive to your players' feedback about what isn't working, but exercise discernment when they suggest specific fixes. Lesson 20. All of these lessons are interconnected. As we've explored these principles in 2 videos, you might have noticed that they don't exist in isolation. Upon deeper analysis, you'll see that they all combine to form a larger, cohesive lesson about game design. Each individual insight is a piece of a larger puzzle, influencing and being influenced by the others. And that concludes our discussion of 20 essential lessons for creating video games, as outlined by the brilliant Mark Rosewater. We hope you found this wisdom as valuable as we have. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. Until next time.